I'm honestly very frustrated that it's all come to this. Basically, my wife, female 29, and I, male 31, have been married for 3 years. Throughout our marriage, things seem to be going just fine. That is, until earlier in the fall, when a man moved in next door who looked to be no more than a few years older than us. My wife and I would end up interacting with the new neighbor a lot once he started hosting barbecue parties in his backyard. Not long after his arrival, I started noticing flirty behavior occurring between my wife and the neighbor, including suggestive glances at one another and giggly conversations. Something was nagging at me, and I decided to look up the neighbor on any social media imaginable and found out he was a single father because his wife left him and took their son with her after he had cheated on her. Something I had uncovered with some deep digging, looking through his mutual connections to find his ex's profile that had a post exposing her former partner. I was not happy and warned my wife to stay clear of him, that he was bad news. She didn't take heed, of course, being the strong, independent woman she is. This weekend, I was away on a business trip and got a doorbell camera notification that showed footage of my wife heading back in the house from the neighbor's place at 2 a.m. When I got back home and confronted her about it, she poorly attempted to reassure me that they were just friends and had lost track of time during a long conversation. Then she began making me out to be the bad guy, saying shit like, "Is a woman not allowed to have male friends?" She then accused me of being controlling and said that it's clear that I didn't trust her, to which I told her to stop giving me reasons not to, and said that if she liked hanging out with the neighbor at his house so much, to just go there that night. She told me I was being ridiculous, but I had had enough of the disrespect. I stormed out of our house and went to the neighbor's place and banged on his front door. My wife ran after me, which was what I was hoping for. This allowed me to rush back inside of my house and lock the door behind me, as well as yell at her not to come back, all before the neighbor could answer his. My wife kept cussing me to let her back in. I only did so to tell her that I wanted a divorce. She refused and said there was no reason to take such drastic measures. I reminded her of the night she spent at his place and said she better admit something was going on between her and the neighbor if she wanted any chance to salvage our marriage at all. This only led her to say that I was being dramatic and needed to snap out of it. I told her she'd be hearing from my lawyer and told her to move to the guest bedroom. That's where things have been for the past few days. Things are tense, and my son is confused by all of this. Any advice? Update. If anybody remembers my post 2 weeks back, here's an update of sorts. Yesterday, my wife moved out and went to stay with her parents. She still insists that nothing happened between her and the neighbor, and that I'm being paranoid and far-fetched. Despite everything, she's standing firm on her story that they were just friends, and that she did nothing wrong. Her parents have now gotten involved and are fully backing her up. They're blaming me and telling me I'm overreacting big time and being too controlling. Her mother says I'm the one destroying the marriage by not trusting my wife and jumping to conclusions. I honestly feel like they're trying to downplay the situation because they want her out of their hands too. On the legal side, things seem to be moving forward quickly. Since we have no shared assets, my lawyer says the divorce should be settled soon enough. The downside is that I'll likely have to pay alimony for a short period, which, given the circumstances, is better than I hoped. But I'm upset, not just because of the money, but because it feels like another layer of insult after everything that's happened. Now I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that I'll need to restart my life. It's tough to think about, especially when I remember how things used to be between us. But I know this is the right decision for my own peace of mind. I'm still hurting, and I'm definitely dreading the next steps. Thanks again to everyone who offered advice. I wish to be back someday with a better update. Story 2. Not sure how, nor if I should forgive her. Me, 27 male, and my girlfriend, 26 female, have been together for 5 years. The relationship was always good. We were very much in love with each other, had a lot of fun, etc. We had our issues, of course, mostly in the past 2 years. She was complaining that I was kind of taking her for granted and not putting enough effort into our relationship, not being romantic enough, that it was not like the first months, years of our relationship anymore. that we had fallen into a routine and the spark was not the same. We had these talks every 3 or 4 months. I didn't take it too seriously at first, as I thought it was normal in a relationship, but I decided to put in some extra effort at the end of 2021. Everything was great until I noticed some changes in her behavior a few months ago. She was constantly on her phone, hiding what she was doing, changing the app as soon as I walked by, and staying up on her phone super late. She changed her password multiple times, turned on all the extra security settings of her phone, and also changed her profile picture on social medias. She also removed the picture of us she had on the cover of her phone. She also felt more distant and disconnected from me. I asked her twice if something was up, but she said it was okay, that her best friend was struggling with her, so they were staying up late texting. I told her it felt like she was hiding stuff, but she insisted she was not. 2 days ago, we went on a vacation with a friend of mine and his wife. As I walked next to her, I saw she used Snapchat, which is very unusual for her, and led me to snoop her phone yesterday morning. Found out she was sexting a random dude outside the country who approached on some online forum where she was seeking advice for our relationship. This had been going on for at least 3 months. I confronted her, of course, and could read all the messages they sent each other. It really felt like how we started out, with the extra sexting we never really had. She said she regrets it, but hasn't been very expressive about it. She also said she'd planned to tell me after the vacation because she didn't want to ruin it, though I'm not sure I believe her. The guy also ghosted her 4 or 5 days ago, which might be why she regrets it. Her last message to him was, "Why are you doing this to me?" Trust in a partner is the most important thing to me, and she knows that. We had some time to talk more about it yesterday, but I have a hard time expressing my feelings. All I could tell her was how devastated I am, especially as I was starting to figure out how I would propose to her. Probably later this year. Meanwhile, I feel absolutely horrible, but can't really show it as I don't want to ruin the mood for everyone here. I also talked with her best friend who knew about the affair. She didn't try to cover up for her, but we were both convinced that the guy's probably a manipulator who does the same shit with many lost girls. If that even matters. She's also suffering depression for the past 3.5 years, which we've been fighting together, and she was getting better the last year. So that's it. I don't know if I can or even should forgive her. I don't know if she was weak and lost or if she meant all those things she said to him or both. She hurt me beyond what I thought was possible, and I don't see the same person that brought me joy when I look at her. I see someone who hurt me, lied to me, and disrespected me. But in the same time, I loved her so much yesterday that I don't think this whole thing could be gone like that, but it might be because it's very new. I just feel like I don't know where I am anymore. Any advice, any support would help. She made a choice over the course of 3 months to betray your trust, lie to your face, and disrespect the relationship you both built. It wasn't just a moment of weakness. It was a sustained pattern of deceit. Her actions have consequences, and it's not your job to make her feel better about them. You need to take a step back and think about what you want. Can you really see yourself trusting her again after this? Or are you holding on to the idea of who she used to be before all this happened? It's always better to find out before marrying rather than finding out after and losing half your money in the divorce. Stop pitying her and start focusing on yourself. What do you want out of life? And can she be a part of that after what she's done? It's okay to walk away from someone who hurt you this deeply, even if you still care about them. It's time to prioritize your own well-being. Story 3. Has anyone had a relationship survive infidelity? To sum up my story without getting into details, I fell in love with a girl in the winter of 2018. We had a deeper connection than any other relationship I've been in. We experienced a lot of trauma together early on, including death and significant bodily injury. We were together for about 9 months and had a fake breakup. Our behavior never changed when we were around each other, even though our Facebook statuses and everything were changed. One day she calls me crying, saying she just had oral sex with a coworker that she'd been going on dates with since October. The girl was literally kissing on my neck 3 days before. Of course, me being stupid, all of the relationship problems I was causing, resulting in the fake breakup, went on overdrive, and she told me she didn't love me anymore and she was going to pursue a relationship with the other guy. That was 3.5 months ago. I've been in no contact for 2.5. Today, I just realized that I can look at a picture of her and not wince in pain. I finally regained focus in daily activities and some joy. I've been working on self-improvement and seeing a counselor once a week. My counselor made a comment that she specializes in relationship counseling as well as psychosis. I asked her if relationships like this one are salvageable or if it's even worth it. Her response was that she's had relationships come back from worse cases of adultery and that it can be worth the risk and work. I don't know if I even want to salvage this, but I have to ask, has anyone's relationship survived infidelity, especially if they left you for the other person? Can you share your story? It's great that you're finding some peace and focusing on self-improvement. That's the most important thing right now. As for your question, yes, some relationships do survive infidelity, but it's definitely not easy, and it requires a ton of work from both sides. The person who cheated has to be genuinely remorseful and willing to put in the effort to rebuild trust, which can take years. And even then, it doesn't always work. In your case, it sounds like she chose someone else and only come clean after she had already started something with him. That's a huge red flag. You've already made a lot of progress in moving on. Maybe the best thing for you is to keep going forward and not look back. Sometimes the best decision is to let go and continue building the life you deserve with someone who respects you from the start.